Edith Keshishyan, entrepreneur, Açaí Jungle Cafe owner and creator, designer, creative person, um, mother, wife. Thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me. Making me.
So, you moved here when you were 11?
10.
10 from Armenia.
Yeah. We moved here when I was 10. Moved to Glendale, of course, because we had family there. So they helped us get kind of going with.
How did your dad? What was the situation like in? Because Armenia was part of the Soviet Union, right, at the time.
Yeah, Armenia was part of the Soviet Union. He didn't really like the way the things that were set up over there, I guess. He felt like a lot of it had to do with who you knew and so much corruption, and he didn't feel like there were a lot of opportunities for me and my sister. And so when kind of the doors opened up to coming to the U.S., and we had some relatives here, so he figured he would bring us here for better opportunities, a better life. Yeah, but as a child, I had a great childhood. It was really nice growing up in a small town in Armenia.
You have good memories.
I
It
have
was
a lot of I only have good memories.
which we visited. The last 3 years, 4 years. 3 years.
3 summers in a row. Yeah, it was just a very simple life, and I think for a child, it's so important to always have your parents around, to have a lot of people around. We lived in those, 5-story communist buildings, but so there were a lot of kids in the building, and there were a lot of relatives and cousins that lived nearby, so we were just always playing outside. It was very safe, so we would be out until
it's
midnight.
nice. Like our kids can play. We don't have to worry about
Everybody
them.
knew each
like
other.
even in the big city, right? Like we feel totally safe of them playing
Yeah.
in the streets by themselves.
In general, it's a very safe place, and everybody's always looking out for each other. So you feel like somebody's always looking out for your kids if you're not able to.
Everybody's in everybody else's business, right?
Definitely. Pros and cons to that.
Yeah. So your dad was like, okay, I'm gonna move to the U.S. And
yeah. Well, my parents.
How's the process like? How was that process? Because they had like opened up, right? Certain times, certain years, right?
Yeah, it was around '88 where a lot of people from Armenia, probably a lot of other places, moved to the U.S. We were called refugees.
That's why they opened it up, right?
I think so. I was
like a refugee program.
I was only 10, so I don't remember that well. But it was an easy process. We actually ended up coming through Italy. We were in Italy for about a week, 2 weeks, which was a really exciting experience. We were in the middle of Rome, somewhere where they had us stay, and I remember it was like always police sirens outside, gunshots in the middle. There was like and we would go outside and there'd be like needles on the street, and it was just so different from where we grew up. It was just, but there's a lot of really amazing things too for us. All the stores and the cheese shops and whatever.
Do you remember that when you were 10?
I do remember that. Yeah, it was just so much to take in, coming from a tiny town in Armenia to going to Rome.
And seeing all the things.
It was really cool.
Did you guys go anywhere like Colosseum or any of the tourist
I don't
areas?
think we did too much of that because we didn't really speak English. We didn't speak Italian, so we just tried to stay in our little hotel. We went to a few shops like in the neighborhood, and that was it.
So in Rome, like you guys stayed close to the place because you didn't speak the language, and
yeah.
So how was it like? I mean, you went after high school, and then we went some years back, like maybe 5-6 years. How was it? How do you feel
going back to Armenia?
Not Armenia, but to Rome.
Oh, to Rome. Yeah, I had been there. I think first year of college, we did a little European tour. with the university. We didn't really go to the areas that we had stayed coming to the States.
Do you remember where it was now? Like,
no, I don't remember at all.
You just knew it was in the hood.
I know.
Police and you remember you telling me there were like syringes and stuff. You remember seeing that as a kid?
And our parents just didn't know what to keep away from us and how to keep us from seeing all these things all at once. But
that was the trek, huh? That was the road. You guys went to Moscow and then Moscow to Rome.
We went to Moscow. It was in February and it was so cold. It was freezing. I remember we were completely covered up and only our eyes we had left open to see where we were walking, and our lashes like had icicles on them. It was just
in Moscow.
It was so cold, so uncomfortable.
I remember you telling me your dad to like bring in like somebody told them the harmonica story.
That was actually an accordion. It was a huge accordion.
Harmonica's little.
Somebody told him that he can make money selling an accordion here in the States. So we bought this giant accordion in Moscow and dragged it all the way to the U.S. with us. And then it just sat in our closet for I don't know how many years. Me and my sister would try to play it. She would like pump it and I would do the keyboard and then vice versa. Until I don't know how he ended up selling it finally, but he was just like, oh my God, why did I listen to this person bringing this enormous accordion? They sold it to
the Borat set, the Borat movie.
But that thing was in our closet for I don't know how many years. Yeah.
That's before eBay and all those things, right?
Yeah, we didn't even have a computer back then.
Man. So you guys came over and then what did your dad, what did your dad do? Like, I mean, he doesn't speak the language.
Yeah,
it's a typical immigrant story, right?
Right. So when you come here, they kind of put you in English classes. So my dad and mom worked during the day at just odd things. My mom was a seamstress in Armenia, so she worked at like basically a sweatshop, earning very little money. But and then at night they would both go to English class. So my sister and I would stay home and just watch TV until they came home. But so they went to school for a while trying to learn English. And they would ask us for help, but we didn't feel like helping much. We were just trying to learn ourselves.
With English?
With English, yeah.
I remember like in Germany when I was a kid, like just like watching TV and then like the kids shows, like the cartoons and stuff, and picking it up like that.
Yeah, definitely. We learned within like a year.
Within a year.
Yeah.
And then after the year, they were hey.
Yeah, it's time to teach us. What's funny is after a year, my sister and I started speaking English to each other, and my dad would get mad. He always, when he heard us speaking English to each other, he would say, you have to speak Armenian to each other. You can't speak English in the house. You have to speak. But it was crazy. Just after a year, we were already more comfortable speaking English to each other. Yeah.
Kids like pick up fast, but then they can forget fast too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he made sure you didn't forget Armenian.
Yeah. He was just like, you're not allowed to speak English in the house to each other. Yeah. And
so then you guys moved here, and what did your dad do, like, for work?
My dad helped. He had a cousin who had, I think, like a pizza place. He helped him at the pizza place. He helped him, I think, make the pizza. He helped him deliver. I don't remember what else he may have done, but then eventually he opened up like a little gift store. I remember him asking me about it. And anytime he had an idea of like some kind of a business, I would have like, yeah, you have to do it, So I think he asked me because he knew I would encourage him. I'd be like, yeah, you got to do it, Dad. I'll help you. You got to do it. So eventually he opened up like a little gift shop. And my mom just continued sewing. She ended up working at like an alterations shop. That was much better than the sweatshop she was at initially, because she was actually really good at what she did. So, and then And then at some point she started helping my dad. She left the alterations shop and just started helping my dad at his store.
It was in Tahanga.
It was in Tahanga, yeah.
Tahanga. and you know, like do you remember did he tell you guys what he like his dreams, or what he like for you guys, what he wanted for you guys to be, or the opportunities, you know, coming to the US?
Yeah, I think his main thing was his dream was for us to live a better life than he did, you know. My parents were actually born in Iran. You know, their ancestors migrated to Iran 400 years before that. And then in the 70s, a lot of Armenians from Iran, from Syria, from Iraq, moved to Armenia because Armenia was doing better. It was, you know, it wasn't famine and just kind of craziness anymore. And so they went to Armenia, back to the motherland, and my sister and I were born there. But he just wanted a better life for us and the opportunities here, and he just encouraged us to do whatever we wanted to do, but do our best, be the best at it. So he was never like, oh, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer. But he said, whatever you decide to do, I want you to be the best at it. He was a very open-minded guy, considering, you know, his generation and where he grew up.
Yeah, we had to visit your old apartment in Abovian, the town outside of Yerevan, where a lot of the Persian Armenians, right?
Persian Armenians, Syrian Armenians, yeah.
Moved to.
A lot of the Armenians from outside in the 70s.
And you guys, it was like, and then it was like pretty much like one bedroom, and then I could just, it was like you, your sister, your mom, your dad.
Well, there was 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms, oh, okay. 2 bedrooms,
yeah.
okay.
But it was a tiny little apartment, yeah, on the 2nd floor. I mean, yeah, like I said, we were more than happy with what
and
we had.
Your aunts lived there too, right?
She moved into that apartment after we left
to
the U.S.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
Yeah. But everybody lived close by, so everybody was walking distance. We just visit each other whenever we felt like it.
Mm. And so, yeah, he got going here in the U.S. He started working. He started making money. That ended up opening up. You know, finally opening up his own business.
Yeah.
And then you know, he, you know, rest in peace. You know, he passed, right?
He did. Yeah, he passed away. What year was that? 2002, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just from a heart attack out of nowhere. He wasn't sick or anything. So one day I just got a call, I had a voicemail saying, we're at the hospital. Come as soon as you can. And I'm a optimist. I never think of like the worst things right away. So I didn't think much of it. But when I got there, I found out that he had a heart attack, and they'd done a angioplasty, I don't know what it's called, but he was in a coma. And I talked to the doctors, trying to figure out what else we could do, and if there was anything. They just said we just have to wait, but I don't know, after a week, 2 weeks, he just wasn't getting out of the coma, and then they said we're going to have to amputate a limb because now there's no movement, and his leg is turning blue and things like that. So I had like a massage guy come in and just different things trying to.
How long was that? How was he in the hospital?
I don't remember. It was probably like a week, 2 weeks. It's just it's such a blur that time. It's very heavy. Yeah, and I was very, very close to him, so it was just devastating.
And what was the final? When did you guys decide that?
I mean, the doctors just kept pushing us to take him off life support, and we kept fighting with them. And I had another doctor come in from a different hospital, which they normally don't do, but I just wasn't taking no for an answer, so we had another doctor come in and examine, and the doctor said, yeah, there isn't anything we can do. And I said, well, I've heard that before where doctors feel like there's nothing they can do, but the person somehow comes back. He's like, yeah, that's not that situation. So eventually just didn't seem like it was going to get any better, like he was actually going to come back. So we had to take him off life support.
What was the feeling after? How did you feel?
It was, before that, we still had hope. We went to the hospital every day. We sat next to him and touched him and massaged him and talked to him. We still had hope. And then finally we just came to a decision. And actually we couldn't even tell the doctor ourselves. So we had a cousin tell the doctor that we were okay taking him off life support. But yeah, that was kind of like, that's when we really felt like that was it. He was gone forever.
And then you sold his business that he had built up.
I did, yeah. He talked to me a lot about different things. I was always interested in what he was doing. And so he'd already talked to me about selling his business. I had tried to convince him, actually. You had introduced me to some books and kind of talking about real estate and rental properties and things like that. So I started talking to him about, before he passed away, about selling his business and buying rental properties. And he was hesitant because I think he had like an experience a few years before that with a cousin, but it wasn't in a good area, so the people weren't paying rent and all these issues. But I think he started thinking more and more about it the more I talked to him about it. And so he had told me what he thought it was worth and a couple of people who were interested in buying it. So, and then when suddenly he passed away, those people approached me and I knew what he thought it was worth, and I basically stuck to that number and ended up selling it to somebody who wanted to buy it and invested the money in a rental property. I had people tell me not to sell it, that they thought I might just spend the money on buying a couple of cars or I don't know what they thought I would do with it, but I already had plans. So,
your family, I mean, your mom, everybody was devastated. Your sister, everybody was devastated. Like, where did this? I mean, you're the one who kind of, right? You went to he also was involved with the flower shop too, right, at the time.
That was a couple of years before that.
Right.
Well, a
but
year
you were
before
working.
that.
You were also working in that.
I helped
right?
him at that flower
Right.
shop for a little bit. Yeah, he was involved. It was for a short time, but so I basically knew everything that he was doing and thinking about doing. So when he passed away, my mom was just, oh my gosh, she was a mess. She just lock herself in the closet and just cry for days. So I had to kind of just take over and, figure out what we were doing, sell the business, figure out the details from that flower shop. And then we moved out of that apartment. We lived in North Hollywood at the time, so we moved back to Glendale, and we were closer to the rest of our relatives so they could kind of support my mom and our family.
You found, like, when you guys were moving, like, the bookshelves, like, money that he had, saved behind bookshelves and stuff that nobody knew about.
Yeah, we had an idea that he was that, that's how they did it back in the day.
Under the mattress.
So we found
behind bookshelves.
We found some money he had saved. Yeah, so that helped me buy the rental property.
Where did you think that, like, where did that strength come? Where did that, I mean, somebody had to do it, right? But where do you think it came from?
Somebody had to do it. I think the way he raised us, my mom gave us a lot of love and affection, and my dad did too, but he gave us a lot of confidence. And I think, and he was, he had 5 sisters and he was the only boy. And so I think he was hoping to have a boy himself, but then he got 2 girls. But he kind of treated me, especially because I was the firstborn, a little bit like a son. And he gave me a lot of confidence. He always told me I could, do whatever I put my mind to. There was always situations where it was like, oh, you're a girl, you can't do that. But in the bigger things and the more important things, he always felt like I could do it. So I think that helped me a lot, just kind of not having too much fear and just doing what was necessary. Yeah.
And he sold it. You were able to get some money, and you're able to invest in some real estate, and then also start like your own fashion line, right?
I was starting my own fashion line right about that time. So it took a few more months, and then I started my business. My mom and I were, cutting and sewing in our apartment, and then I would take the clothes.
How did it start though? You were working at Curve as well, right?
I was working at a retail store at the time. I was a manager at Curve on Robertson, which was a really great store. We had a lot of celebrities pass through, a lot of their stylists come through. So when I worked there, I started thinking, if I'm going to have my own line, I'm going to start wearing my own designs every weekend. So on the weekends, I would only wear something that I had designed and made myself. And then the stylist started asking me, oh, where is this from? I want to buy that piece. I want to buy that piece. And then
you also went to college, right? You went to college for
I went to college to become a pediatrician. But I always had a love for fashion and
your
design.
Mom being a
my
seamstress.
Mom, yeah. My dad was a cobbler, a shoemaker in Armenia too for a little while. So I always loved going by his workroom and watching him, cut the leather and make shoes and things like that. That was always really fun for me. So when I started college, I was like, oh, I'm going to become a pediatrician. But then about a semester into it, I just felt like I was, lying to myself. My bigger passion was definitely fashion design. So I switched majors. I went from biology to fashion design and merchandising, which was kind of like the business part of the design world, which was also very interesting because, we took marketing courses, advertising, accounting.
That's a big decision, right? And most people, I mean, they, get a good degree, get a good job, how did you break that, especially like your dad and your family working so hard to provide a better life for you, how did you get the confidence or find the way to make that decision?
I think just again having the confidence from a young age. I was always like a hard worker. I was never lazy or shied away from something that was really hard. So when I was in college, I would constantly wake up in the middle of the night from a dream, like vivid dreams of like designs, and I would draw it down really fast, sketch it, and then go back to sleep. And I thought, well, obviously I'm way more passionate about this than becoming a pediatrician. And it took me a little while. I actually ended up taking a couple of fashion courses, just to see. And I was just like, oh my God, I love this so much. Even just like a basic sewing class. So that helped me decide. That helped me decide. I was like, yeah, I can't stay with the biology. So I came home one day and I said, Dad, I've decided to do fashion design instead. And he said, yeah, I knew you were going to do that. But I think just willing to work really hard, not being afraid, and just trusting that, you have to do what you really love, and willing to put in the hard work, willing to learn, willing to, learn the business side also, not being delusional like, oh, I like to go shopping or I like to draw. That means, I'm going to be good at fashion design. No, you have to.
Yeah, I remember. I have memories of you having your shop downtown, and you throwing all those the fabric, the rolls of fabric over your shoulder, and I'd help you when I was in town, But yeah, just carrying all these these crazy things over your shoulders and underneath your arms,
Yeah.
To take to your small studio that you had, your design studio, really, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of giant rolls of fabric going up and down to that studio, to our apartment in Glendale. We lived on the 3rd floor, so I would, park my car and take up all the fabrics up to the 3rd floor. We would cut and sew the samples there until finally I had a few stores that ordered, and then I ended up getting somebody in downtown who would cut and sew all of my production there.
Because you worked at the Curve, the store, and then people started to buy your samples, right?
Well, what happened is,
and then you got into the show, the Mercedes-Benz
fashion show. Yeah. So the owner of Curve saw that the stylists were asking me for these pieces, and so she said, "Okay, Adit, put together a sample line for me. I'll put some of your stuff in the store." So basically, that's what I did. I started designing a sample line. It was probably only about 10 pieces, and my mom helped me sew them. And I brought it to her. She ordered a few of the pieces, and then I figured, well, I already have a sample line. Might as well take it to some other stores. So I took the sample line around to a few stores in LA, and then I thought, what about some stores in Miami, in New York? So I actually flew out with my sample line to Miami and New York, and got some stores to look at the sample line and put in orders.
Yeah, I remember because I remember you had you were inside the store, and then you made extra ones, and then I remember they had a contest or something, and then the winner would get a free fashion show, right?
Well, what happened
Something
is
like
I was in a few stores in LA, and there was this organization. It was called Gen Art, and they looked out for new upcoming designers that they thought were good, and they could display them. So I was doing a sample sale one time, and one of the girls from the other booth, the other designers, told me that Gen Art had chosen me, but they hadn't told me yet. So she said, "Don't tell them I told you, but they chose you as one of the designers they're going to showcase for their upcoming fashion show." It was at the gas company building in downtown LA. I was so excited. Oh my God. So that was a really amazing start. It was a fashion show. They had, I don't remember, maybe 8 designers or so that they decided to showcase, and I was one of them. And I did that show, and that show kind of exposed my line to a few more stores. And then I think they contacted me from the Mercedes-Benz fashion show, which is the bigger show here in LA.
But once you had enough traction, right, with that Gen Art,
that's right,
show,
yeah,
people started to order from you, and then you're like, I need to have my own show.
Yeah, and the Mercedes-Benz, basically you're not showing in a show with a lot of other designers. It's just a lot of designers, but they each have their own show at the Mercedes-Benz. And I remember that was a big deal because I had to pay $10,000 just to be in the show.
Right.
So not counting, models and music and all these other things that go into making sure the show is going to work out. I had to get a PR company to make sure they invite people from the magazines and different buyers from different stores. But I think I put that on a credit card, and I said, I'm going to do this. This is the time. So I ended up doing that.
You had no money. You had your aunts. I remember because I was, they didn't know Yeah, I was there. I remember taking Tim with me, you know. And there was all these models everywhere, and your aunts were there, like little little gangsters, like getting
That's
the
right.
job done. They had your back, and
Yeah.
you know, just
They were very
and
proud.
Violette and your
Yeah.
aunts, and yeah, they were very proud, and like they had your back, and like and your mom, like everybody worked so hard to probably put that together, right?
Yeah, I mean, my mom helped me a lot. She
And
would stay up at nights helping me finish sewing up stuff, and she's like, "Aditi, you're crazy," but
you
she
know,
did it anyway.
yeah, because I saw a lot of the other like designers and stuff, and they a lot of them they have money, they have their parents help them, or
Mm-hmm.
they have some money, but you kind of charge $10,000 on your credit card.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna make
recruited
it.
the squad, to make it happen
Yeah,
with nothing.
that was very exciting. It was real. It's such a thrill putting together a whole fashion show like that. Having people in the audience that were from different magazines, from different stores. Just
What was the is it Rod Stewart? Rod Stewart was was that his daughter? That was
I
a
think one of his
fashion
his
show?
daughter. She was
A
she was
model,
a model. Yeah,
and
I don't.
she was trying to get on, like she was involved, different ones, but you didn't want her
Well,
to
there was like a
a certain look,
certain
right?
look you go for each season, and that look didn't fit what I was showcasing that season. So, but I got a lot of the models to do the show by just giving them sample clothes, and so you choose kind of the newer, younger models that are trying to get into the industry. They're
Mm.
willing to do those kinds of things for practically free, but it worked out. Yeah.
And then you had stores all over the
And
world.
then we got quite a few orders after that show, a lot of orders after that show. At that point, I got a studio in LA, at the LA Mart, and one in New York, to basically have my samples there. So then buyers at that point start going to them and ordering through them. That way I don't have to take my samples around to stores anymore. All the buyers go into these studios and place their orders there, and they would just fax those orders to me, to my studio.
Is that before cell phones? That was before cell phones? Well, they had the Nokia.
No,
The Nokia.
we
They
had
had
cell
Nokia
phones.
phones.
Yeah.
Nokia phones.
But we had fax, definitely. So they would fax the orders to me, and I would just go through all the orders and figure out what I needed to order.
Yeah, I remember. You started having stores all over the world, New York. I mean, everywhere, all over all over the boutiques all over the world, Nordstrom's, and people started to order, and then I started to see like your name, in People magazine, and like J Lo, and some different shows. I went to what was her name? Maya, was that her name?
The musician.
The musician.
Yeah.
I went to one of her shows because you were like her stylist brought you on, right?
Yeah, I did some clothes for one of her shows. I think the stylists, they get the clothes on the celebrities, and then they get photographed. So that was pretty fun seeing my name, Aditi Keshishyan, and most of the labels didn't have such a long brand name,
because
but
they had a different name too, right, of the brand. And then, what are you gonna call your brand? And you're like Aditi Keshishyan.
Yeah.
Like on a longer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. I still have those saved somewhere. It was a lot of fun. I ended up doing a second that ended up working out. And so I did the next season as well. Yeah.
And things are growing.
Things were growing.
And then people would order stuff and not pay you for it, right?
That happened a couple times. It's a crazy industry. A couple of times I got some large orders from New York. Actually, one time that was a large order. It was about $30,000 order, and we shipped the order, but I think they had just ordered too much for that season, and uh, they didn't end up accepting the order. It got shipped back, and then just kind of trying to decide, do I sue them? What do I do? And a lot of times, it's not gonna end up being worth the time, but the experience is worth it. So
yeah, they're professionals. They know
they're professionals. But I ended up trying to sue them anyway, just for the experience for myself, just to kind of see how things work out and just to learn from it. But yeah.
And so then we got married, right? And how did that transition go from businesswoman to family life?
Yeah. So we got married, and you lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I had agreed to move there. And I felt like there was no way I could run my line from Santa Fe. And family's very important to me, more important pretty much than anything else. So I figured I would put my line, my clothing line on hold. I actually just stopped making anything, and I'd get calls saying, "Where's your next season? We're trying to order next season. We don't see it. Where's your line?" And I was just like, I'm actually getting married and not doing my line anymore. And people were like, "You're crazy, Adit." But yeah, just decided to move to Santa Fe and help you with the gyms. And put my focus on building a family. I always felt like if I wanted to go back to fashion, I could. It wasn't something I was scared that I was going to give up for good. Just because I had done it once before, I feel like if I want to do it again, I can do it again. But it was important to put my attention on the family.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when I think about the years, because I'm like, oh yeah, like it's, I've been doing this business, but then you've always been there, like supporting me. Pretty much when I started
get no credit.
I started the first gym in 2000, right?
Uh-huh.
But like 2005 or even a little bit before that.
I was there helping you paint the lion on the wall.
Right. So it's crazy how many years have gone by, and then I because I was, like me, like usually you weren't gonna marry, like usually, Armenians, right?
I was supposed to marry an Armenian guy.
Right. And then you changed your mind, and then you
you
moved to New Mexico, but we kind of, I guess we agreed, right? That, because family was so important to you, and having your family, and it was, you have a really, really big family, and the Armenian culture, right?
Yeah.
was really important to have your kids be around.
Yeah.
And so I knew I was going to be moving to LA eventually, right?
Right.
And then we did.
We did.
once
Almost like a year later.
I mean, it was like a year and a half, right? But you got pregnant, and then within that year, right?
Yes.
First year, and then we were gonna have Sevan, and then then we had 3 kids in 3 years. We got the keys to the house on his birthday, right?
We got 3 kids in 2 years.
3 kids in 2 years. Oh, damn.
That's right. 3 kids in 2 years. Yeah, Sevan was born May of 2007, and the girls were born November of 2008.
Oh, we had 3 kids in 3 years because, it took 9 months, right? Wait. Year and a half difference.
That's it.
2 years, you're right. Wow, it's crazy. I should get that number straight, right?
Yeah. It was like having triplets. Yeah.
3 kids in 2 years. And how was motherhood?
It was
it like
really
seeing
interesting.
Holding Sevan in your arms for the first time?
A lot of different emotions. Definitely very exciting. It's just unreal. Having a child is unreal. It's magical. I tell the kids it's magic. Just so much joy. A lot of hard work, of course. Once the adrenaline wears off and there's no sleep, you kind of don't know what you're living on anymore. But Sevan was an easy kid. It was really easy. You know, we took him everywhere with us. We were even able to go on vacation and leave him with my mom, and she was fine with that. But yeah, he was a lot of fun.
2 years. Wow. Three kids in 2 years. Yeah, that's right. I should have gotten that straight, right?
Yeah. I was already pregnant on Sevan's first birthday.
Year and a half difference. Yeah. What was that when Sevan was born? And since he was that, first, like, what was it like holding him? Like, what memories do you have? I remember him being born, and I remember just being able to stare at him like for hours and just not get tired, and just being like amazed, and just when he was born, like your whole like life flashes in front of you, and it's really crazy.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, he just depends on you. It's like, you're the person who's going to keep that baby alive. So it was fun though. It was a lot of fun. I don't know. He was a cute little kid. He was interesting. He was very observant. But he was really easy. He never cried. People would always ask me, like, does this child ever cry? I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't really have any reason to.
Serena and Sona were another story, right?
Serena and Sona, they were good little kids, but babies, but they had colic, which drove me insane for about 3 months. I had zero sleep for about 3 months, and I was losing my mind. And then your sister actually gave me some homeopathic probiotic that I dissolved in their milk. And the first night I gave them that, the colic was gone, and I couldn't believe it. It helped, and I was able to sleep after that. That was it, just right from the beginning. So,
or you had what do you call that? Nausea with Sevan.
Yeah,
like really bad nausea.
Really bad. Like we would be driving, and I'd say pull over, and I'd just puke on the side of the road. That was not pretty.
And you had and then somebody told you about the seasick. Like
those little.
Wristbands.
It was like a Chinese acupressure bands you put on your wrists, and that helped a lot. Yeah,
it was a game changer.
Yeah, that helped a lot.
So mom, with family, helping with the gym, and how did the cafe, the Açaí Jungle Cafe, how was that born?
The cafe. I think I always wanted to have like a restaurant cafe one day, but I just thought everybody did. It's just like something everybody wants, but it's not necessarily something that's going to happen. Only because I had so many ideas of how, it would look, what kind of food I would serve, and the vibe, the atmosphere. You always wanted to have some kind of acai juice bar, from what I remember since you were young, being in Brazil, the BB Sucos, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I remember seeing
Which
a
we went
file.
to, yeah.
You had a file in your cabinet with ideas of that, but you mentioned it to me a couple of times, and I was like, this is not the right time for that. We were really focused on building the gyms at that time. So, and then I think once the kids were a little bit older, how old were they? Like 7, 8, I started feeling like, okay, I can kind of do something for myself again. Before that, it was just, everything was about the family, and I couldn't even think past that. I couldn't even think about what I wanted to do for myself. So I think around the age of 7, 8, I started feeling like, okay, I can do some things. And we talked about just having the acai at the gym for us and the instructors and our students, because there were no good acai places around here. That was like 6 years ago.
6 years ago, wow.
Yeah, little bit over 6 years ago. And so somehow we decided we would do a little acai cart inside the gym
Let
lobby.
somebody build a little cart.
We had
and put it inside
we
the
had one of our friends, Rafa, build a cart, put little frame with wheels, and we had our chest freezer on there with the acai inside. And we started making acai bowls in the lobby just as a little side project. And then I don't remember how we decided we're going to take the thing outside in the front of the gym, outside in the little parking area we have there. And I made a banner, and we had a speaker with music blasting. So people driving by Victory Boulevard were like, what is happening over here?
Well, somebody made a Yelp page, right? Something like
and
that.
And then somebody made a Yelp page because I said, how are you guys finding us? And they said, oh, we found you on Yelp. I said, oh, I didn't know we had a Yelp page, but apparently somebody had made a Yelp page for us, and we had a couple of reviews on there, and people were finding us and coming from, 30,
all
40
over.
minutes away, which was just really mind-blowing. But so that was fun. We held on to that for about a year and a half. And the health department came by.
There were even like
about
lines, and it was kind of crazy, just in the front of the gym,
Yeah, we had a good amount of people coming at that point towards the end, but we
Vin
also had
Vin Diesel when they were here for the Fast and the Furious,
for the shoot. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was interesting. The thing with that little cart is, although it was something we were just kind of doing for fun, I took it very seriously. Like if we were out of bananas, I was just like, oh my God, like I had to rush over and get bananas. I couldn't be out of an ingredient, any kind of topping. So I still treated it like it was a full-blown business, although it was the tiny little cart.
Yeah, you always took it very, very serious on all the ingredients. You always did, like, you were very, very thorough. Always like the best ingredients, the best quality.
I don't like doing anything half-assed. If I'm gonna do it, just
and like, okay, it was just the cart, but everything was always done right.
Right, but
the best way.
Still represented me, so I don't need any bad reputation out there in the world.
And then the health department started to come by, and
the health department came by, and they're like, "Oh, you're not allowed to do this." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." What did we do?
And luckily, you already had started like building out the cafe next door.
So next door, you were like, "I'm gonna take over the space next door," and I said, "You know what? Like, just give me a tiny little section in the front here to push the cart in and out of. That's all I need." But then when we went through the city and health department, and they're like, "Oh, you need,
this, that,
this many sinks and this much room," and I was like, "Okay, so I just need half of this 2,400 square feet space." So I ended up getting an architect and building that out. I was just one big warehouse space. We did that, and it actually turned out, funny enough, that the daughter of the main guy at the health department was getting acai from us at the cart too. I didn't know, but I think that may have helped us stretch our time out for a little bit
longer.
Yeah,
until it was ready to go.
Until the cafe next door was ready to go, and then we moved in there. I remember there was a lady with her baby in a stroller waiting outside while the health department lady was at the cafe checking off everything, making sure that everything's done, to the law and the whatever, the rules and regulations. And the second she left the cafe, we already had a customer
coming in. Yeah. So you guys had customers coming in right away, and but you just like you always have done, just doing it like, taking it serious and focusing and being diligent, really diligent and precise and calculated. And we worked, you had us, putting out flyers and old school
Costco parking lot,
wherever, right? Like the Burbank Mall, and whatever, we did it, right? We did it for the gym, we did it for the cafe.
Yeah.
And then, it was good. It was really good, right? And so people would come back, and
they would. the security guard would tell us we can't fly her there. We'd wait a week and go back.
Sorry.
Sorry, Costco security. It was a lot of fun. And then I actually ended up using a lot of things that I learned from you or with you with marketing and all those types of things that you signed us up on. And I went trying to resist, but I went anyway. And so I kind of
picked up
a lot of that kind of stuff that I incorporated into building the cafe. Yeah. But number one thing is quality for me, because I learned that kind of the hard way with my fashion line is, for one of my items, we didn't get the perfect fabric and I used it anyway and I ended up regretting it. So
yeah, you always really get the highest quality and everything is very it's like the best quality, the best.
Yeah.
And that's at I think that's one of the things, right? That people, not only is it like the best quality, but it's at an affordable price, right?
Yeah. I like to be competitive.
But also the style, right? And so you're able to kind of express yourself too with the designs.
I love that about the cafes. I'm able to incorporate my style, my design, my aesthetic in there, and I would change it out more often if I could. But types of music I like. I love plants and nature, so I incorporate a lot of that in there. But I have to be creative somehow. So the cafe helps me do that.
Another thing that you've always been into health and living your best life, and that's just, it's nice because we have jiu-jitsu and all these health, TAC-Fit, all these health movement systems, and then we also have that as well for to eat and to hang out, and it's really nice. But
just all happened so organically. Huh?
Yeah, it's like a nice center, right?
Yeah.
Like a nice block of just community, right? Where people can come together. Do you think I'm always thinking like your dad, and just a lot of there's a lot of especially today, right, with so much unhealthiness and with stress and just bad mindset and fear and those kinds of things. Like, do you think some of that is there? Like, do you want to be like a place of like health and life and happiness?
Yeah, I definitely value that a lot. The good health, the peace of mind, the balance in life. I grew up very healthy, and probably just because of where I grew up and how we grew up, we ate, our snacks were fruits and vegetables. We didn't have, chips and cookies and whatever else kids have these days. We just had fruits and vegetables for snack. And then my mom actually, while I was in college, started getting into
that's right.
healthy things. She bought a couple of books, and one of them I don't remember, I think it was like Dr. Paracone or someone.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it had all these superfoods in there, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. So
Açaí was one of them.
Açaí was one of them. There were a few different ones, and I was like, I have to try all of these superfoods. And I remember one of them was noni, and I think it's from the South Pacific. But so I looked online and I found noni juice, and it was like a bottle this big for $35.
Right.
I was like, whatever, I'm gonna get that. I got it and I opened it and it smelled like puke. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is this fruit? And you're supposed to just take shots, and I drank the whole bottle. It tasted like puke. It smelled like puke. But I was like, this is good for me. I'm going to drink it. But I did go through that book and try all the superfoods. So I think over time, just with my mom getting really into like healthy eating and healthier than we had before, and just she likes to try new things, and I like to try new things. So just over time, I've gotten into more and more ways of kind of taking care of my body, my kids, you know, and with natural foods and remedies and things like that. So I find it really interesting.
Yeah. And then Nare, like, you know, Nare being a chef and being like on that, like, you know, living in New York and going to working at these high end, like vegan and those kinds of restaurants. And then
Not just vegan, she worked at just even
kinds of
regular.
high-end.
Yeah. So yeah,
and
I
then
got
here
really
in LA and then
lucky,
kind of
lucky
everything.
there. Yeah. So she's the chef, but she did go to culinary school in New York and worked there under some very high-end chefs and at some really good restaurants. And she's really just amazing. Her palate, her sense of balance, and we kind of like similar flavors and foods, so that works out really well. But she came back to LA, and when I was thinking about doing the cafe, I asked her, you know, if you come and do this cafe with me, I'll open up the cafe. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. I had zero experience in the food industry. I've always been in retail, clothing stores. I've never worked in any kind of a cafe or restaurant before, so I had no idea how to run a cafe or a restaurant. But so she agreed, and that was very exciting. And she's just been kicking ass ever since. She's really there with me, like, you know, all the way. Really helped me run the kitchen, figure out how to run a restaurant. Gave me all her knowledge and her experience, you know.
Yeah.
So she's trained the kitchen staff really well.
Yeah.
She's a perfectionist. Nothing leaves that kitchen without her approval.
And I benefit and everybody else benefits from the good food. And
I hear
the
complaints
good vibes.
sometimes.
Yeah. The
Why
Yelp reviews.
She's not doing what you guys want her to do, but hey, that's how we keep things high quality.
For me complaining that
Yeah.
I bring people to the cafe with
so many restrictions.
Things,
And we're like, nah, sorry, we can't do that.
So, you know, you've been helping over 15 years, you know, over 15 years with the gym and stuff. And so we've seen like quite a few kids grow up on the mat, you know, and you've experienced like,
definitely,
you know, could you share some of your experience and just memories you have of New Mexico, being involved there, watching some of the people grow up over time?
It's really amazing because you form such bonds with the people that come, and seeing the kids like growing up over you know, they came in when they were like 4 or 5 and now they're, you know, 15, 16, whatever, and just connecting with their families. It's like a big family. I love that about the gym, and I love how everybody just kind of hangs out after class and they'll, you know, chit chat. All these friendships are being formed. And I really like that about the gym. It's not like you come, you work out and you leave. It's a really tight community. And I remember seeing that in Santa Fe, and thinking that was really special. You guys just hung out, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours after class was over.
It was cool back then, but once we had kids and you're like, get home.
You know, yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time here, even when the kids were tiny.
Right.
I spent a lot of time. Call myself the MC, but I just love talking to everybody, you know, learning their stories, figuring out why they're here, and just after a while, you know everything about everyone. It's pretty cool. Once I opened the cafe, it became harder because I couldn't spend as much time in the gym. But I really like the community we have, and it's nice. They're able to go to the cafe. You know, people that come to the cafe see the gym and they're like, "Oh, what is this place?" And then, you know, so a lot of the students become customers. Customers become students, and the community just gets tighter and stronger.
What do you think about TACFit?
I really like TACFit. I remember when you first thought about bringing CrossFit, and I was just like, no, I can't. It just didn't seem like a very smart to me. I don't know the way you're supposed to go so hard and fast and heavy weights. Just seemed like an injury waiting to happen. But that's what I love about TACFIT is that it's focused so much on healing and repairing. And after having 3 kids, there's a lot of repairing and
Do you
healing.
remember Scott's? I remember he used to pick me up or drop me off. The training protocol. What were your memories of that?
Yeah, I remember when you were training for an MMA fight, and I think I came to pick you up one time.
Scott was helping me for my.
Scott
UFC
was
fight,
helping you for a fight, and I watched the training, and I've watched you train so much over the years for jiu-jitsu, for MMA, and I thought, God, these workouts are so smart. And I told you that. I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is incredible. Like it was just so well thought out, so precise. And it was so different from any other workout you'd done before to prepare for a fight. I remember like just really thinking it was so smart what he had you do for those workouts. I think he's awesome.
Interesting, right? How 10 years later that here we are.
Yeah.
Like full in the system now.
It's pretty crazy.
Fully integrated.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. When I do TACFIT, I feel like people always ask me if I had a massage afterwards. They're like, did you just come from a massage? I'm like, no, it's an hour of just repair and really focusing on your breathing. Just puts you in this zone. Like it's incredible. It takes me like a whole 30-40 minutes to want to even come out of that zone after class. I just kind of want to stay there.
Yeah, totally. Like you get a massage, you always look.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the flow fit, you like to do the flow classes,
That's
the flow fit, the 6-degree flow.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, because I'm not so concerned about getting really strong or I don't know, changing my body shape or anything like that.
You're already so active, working and doing everything else.
Yeah, I try to incorporate a lot of exercise just in my day. So if I can lift some extra things and take up extra stairs, then that's what I'll do instead of doing the easier way. That way I don't have to think about exercising and all that. But definitely to have an hour where I'm really focusing on the mobility and my joints and the movement and my breath. That's not something I can.
And kind of recover from the stresses, right?
Yeah.
Just from stresses,
Yeah.
daily life, break away and not think about
From
anything
the whole week,
except for your breath and syncing with your movement.
Yeah. It's just my meditation too,
What was the hardest moment of your life?
Wow, hardest moment of my life. My dad passing away, definitely. That was very difficult. I mean, I can handle a lot overall. I just always stay positive and think about the solutions rather than the problems. And that mentality definitely helped me kind of, recover from that. But that was the most difficult time. Definitely losing somebody so important to me. Such a big part of my life. I was so close with him. We, talked a lot. We exchanged ideas so much, and he was so loving, so caring. He was so giving. Such a big influence on me.
I'm not gonna say the best, but what are some of the best moments of your life?
I've had so many great moments. Oh my God.
Top two.
Top two?
It's hard to say that, right? Just some moments you can't.
Yeah,
there's no top.
There's just.
Name some top moments of your life. Some top.
I think having just an amazing family and support system in general, it's not a moment, it's just what I have. I really value that a lot.
I'll change that. What are you most proud of in your life? It's a better way to come at it.
Proud of
Your family.
I'm proud of so much. My
give yourself a pat on the
family.
back.
Yeah. Just kind of how much I did in fashion, like you said, without any kind of like backing or financial support. It was just kind of I had saved $3,000 from working at a retail store. I'm very frugal, like my dad. And
we always talk about creating something out of nothing, right?
Yeah.
Piece of gum and a paper clip.
That's basically, I saved all my money, and it was about $3,000 after paying my college debt. And just, kind of using that the best way I could, the most effective, efficient way. The cafe, I'm really proud of the cafe. Kind of an idea that I never thought I would pursue is just like, well, doesn't everybody want to have a cafe one day? It's like kind of just like a fantasy, I'm really proud of the cafe and how it's become part of the community. I really love that. I love seeing people coming to the cafe from different places, really excited to be there, whether it's the first time or they're there every day, and it's just like the part of their day that they want to spend with us. Makes me really proud. I'm proud of my family, my kids. Proud of how strong I can be. I don't know, through tough times.
Yeah, for sure.
Just kind of gotten
resilient,
thick skin over the years from
What do you think that comes? What do you think that comes from? Like influences. We need to talk about
my dad. Yeah, I think my dad. And I was a really fearless child. Just growing up, I remember just not really being afraid of much, like climbing the side of a building. I was so competitive too, and I think there was no room for fear when I was so competitive. I had to climb the highest on the tree. I had to jump from the tallest whatever. And every time I did something, it gave me more confidence, because I was like, oh, I was able to do that. So I got even more confident. So just kind of being a little fearless, not thinking about what could go wrong, just believing that I'm going to be able to handle it, whatever comes my way.
Who have been some of your mentors, people that have really helped you, or have helped you become better, like Dahlia and like some of these people have been.
Definitely. The Dahlia who I worked for at Curve, she was a tough cookie in very feminine clothes always. I really like that a lot, because it's just kind of that balance where she was really strong, she was really tough. She, handled business, but just kind of very feminine and approachable at the same time. She was a big influence on me. She gave me things to do and would just say, you have to figure it out. If I said, oh, I don't know how to fix this, or she'd just say, I'm going to let you figure it out. And she'd just leave it at that. And I was like, okay. So I'd have to go figure it out on my own. And, that gave me more confidence. But I had a great, I was in cross country and track and field in high school. And my Coach Switzer, was influential. He would always talk in my ear, like, you're not going to get it unless you ask. Or what are some of the other things he would say? where there's a will, there's a way. That was the big thing I remember from him. Where there's a will, there's a way. And that always kept me pushing.
My grandfather's saying.
Where there's a will, there's
Yeah,
a way.
I would always say that.
Yeah, I love that one. My dad, you, you came. I met you at a really good time where I was just open to learning more and kind of seeing outside the box and introducing me to these books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and kind of those kinds of inspiring self-help. It's not self-help so much, but those kinds of things like investment types of things. That was at a good time.
Specialized knowledge.
Yeah, that was really good. Just made me see like there's so many opportunities and ways of doing things, you know, outside of just, okay, go to college, get a degree, and do this for the rest of the rest of your life. There's just so many different ways to get gratification and fulfill your dreams and make money and enjoy your life. So ultimately, it's that good balance, right? Just you want to be able to make money, but you want to live a Zen life. That's important for me, kind of connected to nature, connected to your family and relatives and people. I love people. And I love the connections, and I'm in tune with how I feel when I'm around people, when I'm connecting with people. So just always keeping that good balance, 'cause you can kind of get stuck in a rat race or whatever you call it, chasing something that's never going to be complete.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Açaí Jungle Cafe, Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
Açaí Jungle Cafe.com as well.
Açaí Jungle Bowls.
Bowls.com.
Yeah.
You can pre-order all your foods and all those things, you know. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for being the balance of my life and you know, really helping me, you know, fulfilling you there, but just, you know, yeah, like fulfilling my life with so much life and joy and being the love of my life.
Aw. Love you.
Love you too.
Thank you.